What's good, YouTube? What's good, PlayStation Nation? It's your boy Persona of Gaming with Persona and one half of the What's Up PlayStation podcast crew. And I'm coming at you with my Modern Warfare 2 thoughts and impressions video, where I'm putting my thoughts out there on what I really feel about this Modern Warfare 2 beta that I played over the weekend. If you follow me, you've been keeping up with me over the weekend, you know I did my big streaming event with Modern Warfare 2. I streamed every single day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at least 4 hours or more. I put a lot of time into this beta. I wanted to make sure I did, because coming from Vanguard, and really I didn't really play Vanguard that much, just because it wasn't really my cup of tea as well. So I've really been playing Cold War for the past 2 years, super hardcore. But coming into this Modern Warfare 2 beta and going into this game, my thoughts and really my hopes was, this needs to be right. This needs to be great, because right now, for me personally, Call of Duty is not in the best light for me personally, right? So today we are going to talk about a couple things when it comes to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta. I'm going to break it all down for you guys. We're going to be talking about the time to kill. We're going to be talking about the maps, weapons, mini-map, movement, perks, and the UI, UX, or the menus. There are timestamps for those who may want to skip around and hear certain sections. So, definitely use that to your leisure. But guys, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into the video. Alright, so before we start with what I did not like about Modern Warfare 2, let's start with what I did like. One of the biggest things that I think was a very great step in the right direction compared to Modern Warfare 2019 to Modern Warfare 2 is the movement. I think the movement in this game is really, really good, especially for someone who likes to run around and move around and, aim strafe and jump shot and all that stuff, right? In Modern Warfare 2019, it seems like they really penalize you for that stuff. The game was really telling you, do not move around. We do not want you to move around. We want you to be more of a stationary player in terms of the movement. So I think coming into Modern Warfare 2 beta, I think that the developers took a great step in the right direction of making this COD more of a mover-friendly, a mover-friendly COD in terms of the movement. I think it's very fluid, and I think it flows pretty well. One of the other things that I do like about this Call of Duty is I do like the gun play. So some of the guns I have problems with, but I think the gunplay itself, like I said, aiming, jump shot, strafing, all that stuff, and I think that might fall into movement, but I think that's more movement, gunplay. I think they both kind of go hand in hand, especially, I guess, with how I play. I think the aiming and strafing and jump shot and stuff like that, I thought that stuff was good. I didn't feel out of place in this Modern Warfare 2 beta when doing the movement, running around and all that good stuff. So I do think that was a great step in the right direction. All right, so we got into the good when it comes to Modern Warfare 2. Now let's get into the bad. And I actually want to stay on the topic of movement, right? Because just like I said, the movement in this game is a step up in the right direction compared to Modern Warfare 2019. There's also that negative that came from Modern Warfare 2019, and that is the footsteps. And this was one of my biggest complaints when it came to Modern Warfare 2019 was the footsteps, because again, you're penalizing aggressive players by making the footsteps so loud, right? And again, same thing here with Modern Warfare 2 beta. The footsteps are extremely, extremely loud, very loud. So loud that you can't even get the drop on enemies. If you run in their flank, if you run head towards them, they hear you from so far away that it makes moving around in this game a big hassle. Now, to be fair, Infinity Ward did release a blog post today talking about footsteps and a number of other things that we'll talk about throughout this video. But in terms of footsteps, Infinity Ward did say footstep audio in week 1 of the multiplayer beta was very high, giving players long-distance directional information about enemies. For Weekend 2, we have some changes coming in. We are reducing the range of footstep audio for the various player movement states, jog, sprint, and tactical sprint. This will help soften the cost of moving around the map. The second change is that enemy and friendly footsteps are now distinct. This should help players better understand what's going on as things move around on the battlefield. More details to follow. So I think that's a step in the right direction. Footsteps, step, get it? I do think that's a step in the right direction, but I don't get why is the need for that? You get what I'm saying? Like, why do the footsteps need to be that loud to begin with? I think when you have the footsteps that loud, it promotes this super campy environment or super campy community like what we saw throughout the beta over the weekend. And what makes matters worse is, when it comes to the whole being able to kind of move around and kind of get the flank on certain people, Infinity Ward responded to that as well. So they said, Dead Silence is another hot topic, as many players have expressed that they would like to see it as a perk instead of a field upgrade. We believe it is important to game health that rushers are not able to move at high speeds without consequence. Dead Silence as a field upgrade creates a balance between freedom of movement and predictability of combat. I disagree with this wholeheartedly. Dead Silence has been a staple in the community for so long, and new players and longtime players alike have been within this community since its inception, and all we have seen is people continue to buy the games. If Dead Silence was as bad as we think it is, the sales would be declining at a much more rapid pace if people really felt that Dead Silence was breaking the game, right? You're penalizing, in my opinion, you're penalizing rushers by putting a leash on them with having Dead Silence as a field upgrade, but you're still giving campers and players who might not be as good, and really hardcore players too, because the footsteps are still loud. So you won't get rid of the footsteps or lower them to a point to where it's not as noticeable or easy to kind of get the drop on somebody with that, but you're not giving rushers or movers the pretty much the perk that they need to kind of be able to run around. Even if it's a field upgrade, it's still limiting how someone can play, because once it runs out, now if it's 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or however long it lasts, you now are you're conforming to having to play a specific way after that Dead Silence field upgrade is gone. You get what I'm saying? That is not how I want to play Call of Duty, right? I want to be able to run and gun, run around, run the map, do 50 laps around the map if I want to, without having to worry about, oh, well, this guy over here is going to be sitting in a corner, and he's always going to be able to hear me, even when my Dead Silence runs out. Right? When Dead Silence is gone, he can hear me, so now it's back to playing real scary, sitting in corners, camping, and things like that. That's not how I want to play. That's not how I play. That's not how I never play Call of Duty that way. And the fact that Modern Warfare 2 Infinity Ward it keeps trying to force us to conform to this specific way of playing Call of Duty, to me, it's not fun, right? And honestly, to players who might not be as good in Call of Duty, that's not really fair to them either, in my opinion, because there came a time when I was bad at Call of Duty as well. And I had to learn, right? I had to learn the maps, I had to learn the weapons, I had to learn how to move, how to strafe, how to jump shot, how to do, drop shot at the time before they got rid of that. All these different things. And now look how I play. I'm a great player now. I just don't see this as a good way of saying, oh, well, we think this is best for players who aren't as good because, they don't want to get better or whatever the case may be. I'm just not feeling that, man. And that's not something I can support. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm also just like, you know what? This is not a game that I want to invest into, because you don't have my best interest at heart as well. You can't say that this game is for all players, but then you limit one player more than another, all for the sake of them being a casual or less good or whatever the case may be. I can't support that, man. I'm not feeling that. Now let's talk about time to kill and regen. So personally, I think time to kill is pretty inconsistent in this game. Sometimes I drop people like very quickly. Other times it's like I'm shooting almost a clip into them before they drop. Now maybe it might be because of the gun, you know, because my favorite guns in the game was the Hurricane, and I was using the Latchman sub, which is the MP5, and the Latchman 5.56. But even using those guns, right, or in the AK-74U, I forgot the name of it in this game, but even using those guns, they drop, and they drop the enemies, but there were certain times where I'm just like, yo, I'm shooting this guy, and like he'll get the drop on, like, and he'll just like get to drop on me and kill me after I'm anticipating him. I see him coming, pause, and I shoot first. He would still drop me sometimes, and then other times it's just like bam, 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 bam. They dropping. It's very weird. Like I don't know if that has to do with the connection, or if that has to do with, you know, some other developmental thing that they may need to look into. But the time to kill was really, really inconsistent in this game. It wasn't so inconsistent where it made my time where, you know, it was pissing me off like too much. But there were times in the game where I was definitely experiencing the TTK and saying, yo, why won't he die? Like, yo, I'm shooting him, you know, torso up. And I still can't get the kill. But even worse than the time to kill is the regen. Oh my God. The regen in this game, especially because, you know, we only could go up to level 15, so there was no stim shot, right? So you're really dependent on on just like the natural system regen, you know, if you get shot up. And the regen in this game is atrocious. It lasts so long for you to regen your life, like where it takes you out of the action, where, you know, when you're getting shot up, you know, you run away, right? And it's like your screen will be red for like I want to say at least like 15 seconds or more, where like you're just like, you know, breathing heavy. You hear the heartbeat thing, the screen is all red, and then it's like you heal in stages. So what I mean by that is if you get really, really hurt from gunfire, it's like super dark red, and it's, you know, the heartbeat's loud, right? And then there'll be a second phase of that where like you'll kind of get healed up a little bit, but your screen will still be red. And so when an enemy is shooting you, it takes like one bullet, and you drop. And it's just like, yo, the regen is so slow in this game. It needs to be sped up. Now, obviously, that the stim shot might mitigate that, but we don't know if the stim shot is going to regen, you know, or recharge, or is it just going to be a one-time use, right? If that's the case, it's an even bigger L, in my opinion. But yeah, no, regen is definitely something that they need to fix. It needs to be much quicker, especially if you're running away. It needs to be much quicker. Now, obviously, you know, we don't need him like, you know, regenning like Superman out here, but regen definitely needs to be looked at, because I think that time to heal is a little too excessive. Now let's talk about the minimap, a staple in Call of Duty multiplayer since the original Modern Warfare way back in the PS3 360 days. Something that we have all been using for a very, very long time. And once again, we have Infinity Ward wanting to change that in their minds for the better. Let's read. So within Infinity Ward's blog post, they also talked about the mini-map red dots, right? Because if you played the beta, or if you've heard, in Modern Warfare 2, you do not see enemies show up on the map if they're shooting an unsilenced weapon and there's no UAV. Only time you would see them show up is if there was a UAV. If there's no UAV, you won't see them show up at all, even if they're shooting an unsilenced weapon, which I think is absolutely insane. insane. But yo, let's talk about it. Let's see what they said. So Infinity Ward says, currently in the Modern Warfare 2 beta, we only show enemy player dots when a UAV is active. The design reason for this is that we do not want to punish players for firing their weapons. We also want players to actively search out the origin of a gunshot versus just traveling directly to where the dot is on the minimap. We continue to gather feedback on how the game is playing in regards to this topic. Listen, guys, listen. Cut it out. Cut it out. The mini-map with the dot showing up has been a staple in COD for years, and that has never been a problem. Even if someone was shooting a unsilenced weapon and they showed up on the map, they would actually, they're not going to be standing directly in that spot because they can move anywhere else. That has always been something that's been in Call of Duty. To take something like that out, you're not penalizing anyone. If people did not want to show up on the minimap, that is what a silencer is for. That's the purpose of having a silencer on your weapon, right? But to take the minimap red dot thing out entirely, you give everybody free reign to shoot their guns without any type of repercussions, right? Or any regard to map awareness, but you also encourage camping even more because they can't see you on the map anyway. So if you got a sniper who's not using a silenced weapon, right, and he's shooting you, you know, obviously you can look at the kill cam, but in terms of like other enemies being able to see where he is on the map, if your teammate gets shot, you won't be able to pinpoint. Because it's like, yo, well, where's he shooting at? Where's he at? Where's he at? You won't tell. And there's other examples, but it's absolutely ridiculous that we have to have this conversation in 2022 about the mini-map, map awareness. Like that is what is going to, that's very important, map awareness, right? You want us to be running around, right? You want people to run around more and do all these other things, or you know, you got all these footsteps and things like this that you're talking about. But one of the most important things in Call of Duty, the map awareness, is gone. And throughout the whole weekend, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, yo, I could not see myself playing this long term in terms of full release if we do not have the red dots on the map. That is a core fundamental feature of Call of Duty that should never be removed, in my opinion. And the fact that they've done this again after people, they said no in Modern Warfare 2019. No, do not do this. This is not what we want. They brought it back in Modern Warfare 2019, and then they turned around and took it out again in Modern Warfare 2. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's an L, man. Like we cannot do that. Nope. So despite the minimap not being the best and not being able to actually see enemies on the map when they're shooting an unsilenced weapon, I will say that the maps in Modern Warfare 2 were okay for the most part. So the maps that we played on was Farm 18, Greenboro Hotel, Mercado Las Almas, and Valderas Museum. But although we only played on Valderas Museum on the first day, but then after that, the map wasn't in rotation anymore. I remember seeing something about there was a glitch or something like that on that map that was causing some problems, so they removed it out of rotation. So of the three maps, Farm 18, Greenbow Hotel, and Mercado Las Almas, I'd have to say Farm 18 was absolutely my favorite map of the game so far. Greenberg Hotel was... it was very campy, very one-sided, especially playing Domination. It was really bad. It's the same, you know what's funny? Playing Domination on all the maps. I actually think Farm 18 was probably the most campy because of where B was, the positioning of B. But I think when it came to Mercado Las Almas, that map was like, there's too many strong spots in that game, in that map, where enemies were just posting up, especially if you're playing Domination. This is like this little house that overlooks B, where it's so strong because you got the vantage point for B, you got the vantage point for the lane behind you, and you've got the vantage point for the lane in front of you. And all three of those vantage points are very, very strong. I remember going against a team yesterday where they were like really they all were like held up in there, and we couldn't get to them because it's too strong of a spot. And the visibility in Mercado Las Almas wasn't that great either. It's hard to see enemies in that map. Same thing goes for Valderas Museum. I like Valderas Museum, but it was hard to see enemies too. The visibility in this game in general, the map's a bit more colorful, but the enemies are still like, it's like a silhouette running across the screen sometimes. It's crazy. But my favorite map was Farm 18. I had the good 3 lanes, right? I did like the engagements that I was getting. It was a nice size map. I didn't think it was too big or too small, pause. And that was definitely the map that I was definitely feeling the most. Now, in terms of my favorite weapon, like I said, I was using the Cinder Hurricane, the Latchman Sub, which is the MP5, the 74U, AK-74U, and those are like my favorite weapons in the game. My only thing about the weapons in this game is that when it comes to the weapons, there's a lot of kick, and there's a lot of smoke, and just too much animations and whatnot for the actual for the weapons, man. It was very off-putting playing through the beta over the weekend and just seeing just all of this all of this crazy smoke, and because it also messes with your vision, because the smoke from the gun is coming out of the gun, and then the gun is kicking and doing all this crazy stuff. Because even when I was putting on like different attachments, because one of the biggest problems that I was having was my gun was kicking so bad, and no matter what attachments that I put on the gun that would mitigate the recoil or mitigate the horizontal or vertical recoil and stuff like that, my gun would just still kick so much. And I'm just like, yo, what is going on here, man? It was crazy. You really had to focus when you were shooting. That is something I do hope that they fix, especially when we go to the attachments as well. You're penalizing run and gun players. Every attachment that I looked at, it was penalizing either your aim strafing speed or your run speed or your shoot to fire speed and all this. And I'm just like, yo, why do these Call of Duties, the last couple Call of Duties have been doing that, where they really are trying to penalize run and gun players. It's absolutely ridiculous. But those are my favorite guns in the game. I just think there was a lot of kick and a lot of, like I said, unnecessary actions when it came to the actual gun itself. All right, now let's talk about perks, the UI, and the goddamn characters talking. I'm gonna start with the perks. The perk system in this game is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's like when you choose your perks, first of all, you can't have Tracker, Ghost, and Cold-Blooded all on the same class. Like, you can put on all 3 of those perks, and that's way too powerful in my opinion, because if you got somebody that can get Ghost, Cold-Blooded, and Tracker, you can't see them on a UAV, you can't see them when you aiming at them, and they see where you are all the time when they're running around because they see the footsteps on the floor. That is, in my opinion, I think that's way too powerful, and they need to actually put all 3 of those perks on one perk line and let you only be able to choose one of those 3. You can't have all 3 of those being a perk. And not only that, but it's not a traditional perk system like how we would have it in old Call of Duty games, where you would choose like, Scavenger and Lightweight and a Ghost or whatever. You choose 2 perks, but then you also choose 2 like a semi-ultimate perk and then an ultimate perk. And what happens is the first 2 perks that you pick, like, if you do Double Time and Scavenger, those are your perks, like, that you'll have when you spawn in. And as you play through the match, you'll unlock, like the Cold-Blooded and Ghost within the match. So it unlocks during the match, but again, it's kind of like a specialist type of system where, the longer you're in the match, the more it charges up. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't really have a good handle on how it worked. Throughout the whole weekend, I was trying to figure out, like, how the hell is this? Like what? It was really confusing, honestly. And this is Infinity Ward doing too much, man. Like, you're doing too much, trying to change things too much. What was wrong with the traditional system, right? It's very convoluted. Speaking of convoluted, let's talk about the menu system. The menu system in this game, layers upon layers upon layers. You had to click, like, if you wanted to search for a match, if you go to Modern Warfare, or if you go into Cold War, you choose what game modes you want to look at, or what game modes you want to play. You click search for a match and it searches. In this beta, you gotta choose quick play. You know, if you chose team deathmatch and domination, you go into this quick play menu, and then you gotta click start to look for a match, or getting to what is that? Getting to like your guns and the gunsmith and the perks and all this other stuff. It's just too much menu. Like, it's too much having to sift through this and sift through that. Like, you know, they should have taken a more minimalistic approach when it came to when it came to the menus, because it really is too much in my opinion, honestly. And then lastly, the characters. My God, these characters won't shut up. Enemy UAV! I'm calling a UAV! It's a Semtech! It's like, yo, always talking. That is a problem that I had in Vanguard, where, you know, I'm pinned, they've got me pinned, they got me pinned. You know, they kept talking. In this game, I think it's actually worse in this game than it was in Vanguard. Every second she's talking. UAV, enemy UAV, my UAV, I'm calling in a UAV, I'm reloading. Like, it's all this talking. And it's like, shut up. Shut up. And I got sick of it, man. I'm just like, yo, you are talking way too much. Especially if you're like trying to get the drop on an enemy and somebody throws a Semtech or throws a grenade, she yells out, grenade! And then the enemy turns around and shoots you and kills you because they hear it. And you hear that stuff from very far away. I don't know why, again, why do they keep doing that? And I think the reason why they do that is because they want to cater to that casual audience, you know, like, oh, somebody's talking, you should look around and see where they're at type of thing, which I don't like, man. I really don't agree with that stuff, because those things are not what make a great Call of Duty, in my opinion, man. Like, you don't have somebody talking so much. Like, you can't flank, you can't do none of that stuff. Very, very, very disappointing. I'm disappointed in this game, honestly. Like, it's just not a game that I'm gonna be picking up. It's not a game I'm gonna be supporting, because they're doing a lot of things wrong that they had the feedback from the last game. So they had the blueprint. And they still went with what they went with. So, you know, I can't support this game. You know, as a longtime Call of Duty fan, this is not a game that I can support. And honestly, it's not a game I can recommend either right now. I just can't. It sucks, but this is how I feel. You know, you can't slide cancel. You can't reload your gun. You can't reload cancel. It's just like, yo, you just can't do nothing. It's just a very casual, boring, slow-paced Call of Duty. I'm good. But yeah, man, listen. That's really my thoughts on this whole Call of Duty beta stuff. If you watch my streams this weekend, I appreciate you. If you did enjoy this video, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys on the next one, man. It's been your boy Persona, and I'm out, guys. Peace out.